Last year, Pitt had 3 true freshmen that saw the field and burned their red shirt. So it makes you wonder, who will be the guys during the 2025 season that can come in and play right away for this Pitt football team? That's going to be the topic at hand today on today's episode of the Pittsburgh Sports Now Football Pulse. I'm Nathan Bryce here. Be sure to head over to our website, pittsburghsportsnow.com, to check out all of our content, and we're getting you ready for a Pitt football season. Plenty of positional previews coming up, already out as well, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and plenty more on the way. So be sure to check out all of our stuff over there at pittsburghsportsnow.com. But getting into the topic today, Pitt last year, 3 guys that redshirted or that burnt the red shirt for Pitt last year amongst that group of freshmen that came into the program in the 2024 class. 3 guys: Malachi Thomas, Francis Brew, and Jeremiah Marcelin. All 3 guys burned their red shirt, played enough games, played more than 4 games. If you play less than 4 or less, you hold on to your red shirt and you enter into the second year of your career at Pitt as a redshirt freshman. So 3 guys burnt it last year, and Thomas, Marcelin, and Brew. And it was a mixture of things, whether or not they were just good enough to get on the field in Brew's case, or Marcelin, where things opened up a little bit. Keith Thompson got hurt, so Marcelin slid into that second middle linebacker spot. And then Malachi Thomas, just a more thin tight end room. So you had Bartholomew, you had Jake Overman, and then there was Thomas, had an opportunity to see the field, more of a blocking tight end for the most part. Got a little bit involved in the pass game, but pretty much for Thomas was more blocking, more on special teams as well. And that's where a lot of these younger guys get involved, is on special teams. But sometimes there's a way for these guys to get onto the field in a hurry during their true freshman season. And when you look at Pitt's recruiting, though, they recruit to develop. So a lot more often than not, these guys are coming in and they're gonna sit their first year, just learn the offense, defense, get in the weight room, get bigger. This isn't your Penn States, Ohio States, Alabamas, Georgias, where you got the talented kids, you got the 4 or 5-star kids that can go immediately onto the field and play. But there's always a handful of guys that can sneak onto the field, while the coaches find their way into playing time. And so I got a couple of guys that I think for Pitt in this 2025 recruiting class. Of all the guys they signed, they brought in 21 total signees currently in this that came in this class. About 14 enrolled early in the winter. There was 8 that came in, or 13 that was in that early group, and then 8 that came in this back half in June. So usually those guys that get in early, get in the weight room, learn the playbook, they're the type of guys that more often than not do see the field, or are the guys out of that group that see the field. Now, some of those June enrollees, will any of them make it? We'll see. And I have one that I think could out of that group. Now, I have 3 to 4 guys that I think could burn their red shirt this year, so I'm going to get into it right here. First guy, wide receiver. Pitt brought in 3 wide receivers: Cam Sapp, Bryce Yates, Tony Kinsler. I think out of any of those 3 guys that can hit the field and maybe playing enough games to burn their red shirt is Tony Kinsler. I think the coaches have been really high on him, a lot of praise for him. And that was even just before spring camp that I heard that. Going into spring camp, and he showed it. He showed, he's a good route runner. He's got great hands. I mean, he has a good catch radius. A couple of passes I saw him haul in with ease. I mean, we're not really in the best area for him to come down with, and he did so. And he's a guy that would be a slot guy. He's, I think, going to project as a slot receiver for Pitt. He's a little bit of a smaller guy for the Panthers, 5'11", and they brought in a couple of smaller guys. That's obviously what Cade Bell, J.J. Laster, that's the type of guys they want in the receiver room, and Kinsler fits that mold. And he has the raw talent there. Now, over these months that we're sitting here through the summer months before training camp, what has he done? How has he sort of progressed each month, each week? And we'll see that coming into training camp. But I think he's a guy, I think the slot position behind Raphael Williams, who will start there once again for Pitt this season, led Pitt in touchdown receptions with 6 last year. Behind him is Tyreek Robinson and then Tony Kinsler. And I think if Robinson isn't really living up to par, I think Kinsler could go in and be that backup there at the slot position. So that's number 1. I think he will burn his red shirt. Number 2, looking at the running back unit. I've talked about this guy a ton so far in our videos, just online on our website. It's Ja'Kirian Turner. I think this guy has a ton of upside. I think he's got speed, he's physical, he can break through contact. He's more of a compact guy. He stands at 5'9", so still in the smaller end, but 175. And I'm sure this number that we have is changed already from just his time in the weight room. And from what I was told from the people that I've talked to, I mean, they said he was doing some crazy work in the weight room and putting up weight more than other, juniors, seniors in this program. So he's a guy that I think can see the field. And with the running back situation sort of in flux right now, I mean, Desmond Reed is there. Joel Goff is looking to maybe lock in that number 2 position. But really, behind Reed, I think it's open because Derek Davis is hurt, coming off an injury. He'll be back, see how he can work back into the mix. And then from there, it's kind of open. Joel Goff, Justin Cook's a walk-on guy who just bumped over from the wide receiver position. So we'll see how that transpires. But I think, for sure, these are my predictions of Kinsler and Turner burn their red shirts. When we look back at the end of the season, those will be 2 guys that will go into next year being true sophomores. Another guy, I think, just because of how things worked out into this position last year for a guy who burned their red shirt, the same, I think, could happen with this guy. Justin Thompson, the linebacker, he, I think, is a guy that potentially could see the field just because of the middle linebacker position is Braylon Lovelace and Jeremiah Marshall. And those guys are sort of duking it out for that top spot. And then for Thompson, I mean, again, if someone gets injured for a game, if they need help, if he has to slide around, I think he could be the next guy up in that linebacker rotation because there's another linebacker that Pitt brought in this 2025 class, Emmanuel Taylor, but he's more projecting as a star linebacker. And right there, right now, they have Kyle Lewis, they have Cam Lindsey, they have Jaden Bonsu. So I think that's a tougher road. Thompson, he's got 2 guys in front of him. And again, you have a guy that misses a game with injury, and for a lot of these freshmen, you'll probably see them in your non-conference games, probably late in the Duquesne game, probably at some point in Central Michigan, they could see the field. So that counts towards one of those games. And I think Thompson could be a guy that could burn his red shirt just because of an opportunity could open up just like Marcellin's. The last guy that I think could really see the field, and again, just looking at the depth chart of this position group within this Pitt team this year, I think is offensive tackle Jordan Fields. He just enrolled. So this is a guy that just came on the campus, was a high 3-star. At a time he was rated a 4-star, pretty respectable recruit out of Texas and out of North Shore, a powerhouse down there in Texas. Played a lot of right tackle. And I think that's where we are going to see him sort of line up is right tackle. And here's why I think he could potentially see the field. Behind Ryan Baer at right tackle, it is wide open. You have Kendall Stanley, Jeff Piercy and Kendall Stanley sort of battling over at the left tackle position. I think if there's an offensive tackle that goes down, whoever doesn't win that starting battle, I think will go in and be the backup, whether that's the left or right side, of course, because all 3 of those guys have a ton of experience. But behind Baer, just straight up, like who will be the next guys down the depth chart, it's open. Giovanni Coley is a guy that received a lot of praise and that received some praise in camp and was working with the twos a lot at right tackle. But Jordan Fields is right there behind him. Mason Lindsay was another guy that's, I believe, a redshirt freshman, but he's coming off an injury. He suffered a season-ending injury last year, so who knows how he's going to be able to come back from injury and factor into this depth chart. So I think Jordan Fields, who stands about 6'4", is a nice big O tackle. I mean, he's going to have to get in the weight room, but I think just that opportunity that could arise, this could be for Fields. I think out of any of the offensive linemen, and Akram El-Ghanami, or I'm not even sure how you want to say his name, El-Nagmi, from England. He's the England-born guy that came in, offensive tackle. He's only been playing football since he was 17, only a couple years. So I think he's going to be more of a long-term development guy. He's got a big frame, so I think that's what they really like about him. But Jordan Fields, I think he's just got a lot of raw potential, but a guy that could step in. and play as a freshman. That was one that he could play. I don't know if he'll burn a red shirt. I think he could see maybe 3-4 games, potentially. We'll see how it goes. Some other guys that I think could see the field. I think Sean Lee Jr., cornerback from Harrisburg, could potentially, we'll see him in some of those non-conference games. I think he'll get a little bit of time. I think the Pitt coaches really like him. He's a very physical player. He's a little undersized. He's only about 5'10", so he's a little undersized for a corner, but the Pitt coaches like his athleticism, his physicality. He was all over the place in the spring game, and we got a glimpse of that then. Some other guys, running back room, going back there, Jalen Brown. I really like what Brown brings to this Pitt offense and this running back room. He's more of a downhill runner. He's a little bit of a bigger guy compared to what else they've brought in. He's about 5'10", where Sinquan Smith, the other later enrollee in the running back room, he's only 5'7". So I think Brown could be a guy. He was a late addition to the recruiting class on early National Signing Day, was a former Louisville commit. I think he could be a guy that could maybe get some snaps as well. And then I think the receiver room, just because it's kind of open still beyond the first 3 or 4 guys, I think Cam Sapp and Bryce Yates could see the field a little bit here their freshman year. Maybe 1-2 games we'll see them, see what they can do up against Duquesne or Central Michigan. Cam Sapp, I think he's really intriguing. He's got a lot of high-end speed, but Sapp also could be featured in the return game. He was there fielding kick returns, punt returns, so he's another guy in there that I think could see the field as well in a couple of different varieties, but just a game here or there. Now, there's plenty of other guys you could go through, but I think those are your 5 to 6 to 7 guys that could get on the field, and I think Kinsler, Turner, specifically those two, burn their red shirts. Thompson's a close third as well. So, I want to appreciate you guys for tuning into another episode of the Pittsburgh Sports Now Football Pulse. I'm Nathan Brysinger, and be sure to go check out the rest of these videos over on our YouTube channel and the rest of our content over at PittsburghSportsNow.com.